2. Class is thinning out a little bit, but that's fine. People will trickle in as they are available. Quick note on housekeeping as we finish the quarter. Next week is our last class, so be sure that you turn in any assignments that you need to turn in, any class participation notes that you need to send out for classes that you've missed. Anything that's due, please try to get it done by next Wednesday, if possible. Just try to get it done by then. That way I can grade everything on Thursday and get your grades out after that. Any questions on any of the process, any submission issues, anything like that? I'm all caught up on everything except the assignment that is due today. So anything you submitted prior to today, anything besides the email, that is email. It should be graded. So if there's a blank thing in your grade book, you need a 0 or anything, further action on your part is necessary to fill that in or submit whatever is necessary. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with emotional intelligence, section 2. Last week we discussed emotional intelligence being this method of understanding your emotions, understanding the emotions of others, and using that information in a positive way when you communicate with people. We talked about this idea of emotional hijack being something that stresses us out, puts us in something of a panic mentality, and that is counterproductive to our efforts to communicate effectively. It makes us do things that are irrational. It makes us act in ways that are not helpful to us professionally. We talked about ways we can control that, get into our rational brain, start breathing, start asking questions, start thinking about whether or not we're facing a true threat, or we're just freaked out because this is a job interview and we feel that our financial and professional credibility is on the line. We went through some self-assessment work where we talked about potential dangerous situations and potential dangerous relationships that you might have some indication could put you into an emotional hijack. And we thought about what you should do in those types of situations. More than just stopping, breathing, taking a breath, thinking about how you've been in this situation before, and thinking about how you could use that information to act in a way that's more effective than you handled it the last time, or more effective than you might have been tempted to handle it last time. We also talked about how in interacting with people, there are a couple skills specifically we could use. One is questions versus statements. We talked about statements being more likely to trigger an emotional hijack in someone else, saying, this is the way it is, this is the problem I have with your sales figures. Absolute statements like that can cause someone to go into an emotional hijack and interact with you in a way that's counterproductive. If it's possible, you can often rephrase that into a question that creates a better outcome. We also talked about the dilemma of intentions and impact being different. We have certain intentions when we go through our professional lives, when we're trying to help people, we're trying to communicate with people. The impact is often very different, so we need to understand. And we can do a variety of things, including labeling our intentions. My intention for this conversation is to help you. My intention is not to criticize you. My intention is to help you. Obviously, that doesn't seem, maybe that's not working out. All right, you see what I just did there? I started with a statement. Obviously, this is not working out, but I changed it to a question. Maybe this isn't, I'm not communicating that as effectively. How could I communicate that more effectively? All right, what we're going to do tonight is some exercises which will help us practice this type of social interaction. Some of the exercises are designed specifically to cause an emotional hijack, so we can think about how we act and how we interact with our team when we get stressed out. The first exercise we're going to do is called replication. So I'm going to give you the instructions, and then I'm going to have you form groups, and then we're going to do the exercise. So momentarily, you will form groups of 4. How this will work is, all right, Each group of 4 will need these materials: a envelope, a pen, a yellow sticky, and a paper clip. What will happen is I will go into another room and I will arrange these materials in a very specific way. Maybe put the paper clip on the inside or the outside, or clipped in a certain direction. Same thing with the pen and the yellow sticky. There will be 3 roles. There will be a person called a viewer who will look at the way I create this artistic object. There will be a person who is a runner who will talk to the viewer and run in here to the 3rd group of people, which will be the builders. There will be 2 people who are builders. How it will work is the viewer will just look at the object and walk and explain what the object looks like to the runner. The runner will then come in here and try to communicate that to the builders. The builders can only ask yes or no questions. Any questions? Okay, so form yourselves into groups of 4 and decide who will be the viewer, who will be the runner, and who will be the 2 builders. And then each group come up and grab one of these, and then all the people who are the viewers
We have a question.
Yes.
Okay, you said the viewers are watching, and they're having me
You'll see it. And you'll see it and it's all ready. I guess the runner. You can only say yes or no. You can only say yes or no.
They can talk, but when they come to the
Okay, so viewers over here with me. There should be one viewer from each group that come with me. Are the groups okay? Does anyone like to have a group? Does anyone need a group? All right, viewers come with me. Get out.
one of you can join that. That's probably why it's staying. So, like, this is where we're going to use. That starts. Yeah. And then breaking this into components. I gotta go to. Oh yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Okay. Or I don't know if that's actually here. Okay, cool. What do they go to? Alright, I'll be back. Corner.
Hi, good. I like to pick up the telephone. Yeah. I'm just message Ryan. I'm just not good at remembering things. I should not be the best at that. That one time we looked at that. We just like didn't understand. It's like, it's all for like kids again. It's like, yeah. I don't understand. And then I did, and then they said, you are only
All right. Everyone know what they're doing? Here's the runner. Okay. This is the runner. So you want to, the runners, you want to like stand here. And
yeah.
Alright. You all are builders here? Anyone else is builder? What's that? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I just remember you can waiting for your runners. You can only ask them yes or no questions. I don't think anyone.
Oh, okay, I was slow. He's fine.
Yes. You can only ask. The builder's going to come here and ask you a question. Does anyone have only have 3 people in their group? You only have 3? Okay, why don't you, Leah, why don't you join them? You only have 1 builder? Yeah. You have 2. You have 2 builders.
Whether it's like
where everything is, and then the runner comes in here, and we can measure and ask questions, but they won't answer them.
so we have to be specific about it. We have to be
Yeah.
we have to be really like
They're very seasonal. They have in fact, the outlets are divided by we have 2 sets of each. Right? I do not have that anywhere in my I read it. No, you probably read it. Okay, you're right.
Yeah. So you can come in and you can come in and say yes or no. There you go.
This is a good.
I don't know. Yeah. All right. So you want to talk quietly so the other team can't hear you.
awesome. I can tell you, right? Oh, so I can't talk.
Can he talk or exactly?
He can say yes or no.
That's all he can say.
That's all he can say.
Got it.
Is the envelope facing
Yeah.
upward?
No.
Yeah, you guys got to start.
No. Okay.
Is this the right side?
Yes.
Is it flat?
Yes.
Should it be turned?
Yes. Should it be turned?
Should it be turned, vertical? Okay, is it vertical?
No.
Does the pen go up?
Yes.
Does it go horizontally?
Yes. Yes.
Is there a specific way of
No.
No, I'm fine. I can
No, it was just like a breath, it was like, ooh.
Is the principal placed
Yes.
why is it placed here?
No.
Can you see it when it's placed here?
You can't. I'm sorry. Yes.
Is it placed below the fold?
Yes.
No. Yes. Number one.
Is it open?
No, close. No.
Can you see it?
Oh, it is.
You
Yes.
say yes.
And it's above.
Yes.
Is it in the middle?
This side?
No.
No. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Does this look right?
No.
Should it be turned?
No.
Should it be turned that way?
No. Right. Yes.
Lower?
No.
No.
Yes.
So should it be turned there?
No.
Does that mean diagonal, like a?
Yes.
The corner? On this corner.
Should this be on?
Yes.
So it's on the side, above the
This side?
Yes, I want. No.
Is this folded?
No.
Is the diagonal, is this the right?
Parallel to what? No.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Should it be higher?
Yes. No. And no.
Oh, this is not right.
I forgot where it is.
Yes. No. Yes.
Parallel above the fold. This way?
Is it too high?
Yes.
It has to be above this.
Yes.
Is this opposite?
No.
Outside? Is it quick on the?
Yes.
Does it? Does it mean to be moved up?
Lazy like
Should it be upward? Should it be standing up?
No. It should.
So these lines,
Yes.
so they are above the fold. So we know.
But is it?
We don't.
All right. Fine. Now. No.
So this is, okay.
It's the pride.
So the head is right.
Yes.
He's in the right.
Yes.
So the only problem is that there should be no part that says that they go fold down.
Yes.
But okay, so I would say this. You drop the
That's what Rutgers told me.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So this would this be something? No. Because of that one. We're switching that to. Getting closer?
Yes.
Okay, does it need to be farther back?
No. Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
You also.
No, you're fine. Oh, he got really.
You got very, yeah.
No.
It's not right. Okay, so what if you do
No, that's.
So is this the fold you're talking about?
I was talking about this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's, okay. How about,
No.
Now that's too far. How about there?
No.
How about there?
Yes.
all right.
Does that look? Does that work?
Yes.
You take this.
Is the paper inside the envelope? Is it on this folded piece here?
Yes.
Is it on,
Yes.
is it just sitting on the post-it? Is it flipped on the post-it?
Yes.
Is it also flipped on?
Yes.
So it should be, is this the direction it should be?
Yes.
Is it in the middle of the post-it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Or we can put it like,
No.
oh,
Should we close it?
Yes.
Like seal it or just close it?
One question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, three.
Exactly. Okay.
You're not done.
We are not. So what is?
Oh, yeah. The runners can go back and check it. They don't mind it too.
I said, we're perfect.
Okay, so then that's better, right?
Okay. All right. Awesome. As it is.
Okay.
From the original story.
Okay, so does this
Yes.
does this put you?
Yes.
Does the pen?
No.
Does the pen fit?
is this on the outside of it?
Yes.
Afterwards,
No, no. Ask away. I like it.
That's
Yes.
what you know. I'm glad about
No, fair enough. I got it. Yes.
What? Inside? Yes.
Yes.
should this little corner be up?
Okay.
the
Close?
No.
Yes.
No. Yes.
This side.
Yes.
I really want to see the work.
Yes.
Remember what he said earlier?
No.
Trust your communication.
All right, open. No, no, yes, yeah, this one. Yes. Okay. Close? Yes. Good.
Okay, we're close.
Yes.
Is it this?
No.
Is it?
Okay, that's it. Good job. Okay. I just needed to turn it around. All right, good, excellent. So we can just kind of stay standing here and do a quick debrief of that exercise. I find that so fascinating because you get frustrated trying to communicate something that's so clear to you, but someone else is not understanding. What was your experience doing this exercise?
I got so caught up on describing like one specific detail that I completely forgot others.
Okay.
As the viewer.
Okay. Okay.
I was a viewer too, and I don't think we had issues communicating. I just didn't remember all the little specifics, and that got translated to downstream.
Okay, good. Now I noticed your team, you just had one thing to do, which was what, turn the pin around?
Yeah.
Switch the pin around. And then you're so focused on doing something else with the paperclip or the
Yeah,
or the
because
sticky.
like you just kept, you know, well, like, you gotta be doing something wrong or something. So like we had it, but we just,
Right. And it gets frustrating because you know there's just one simple thing they need to do, but they're focused on something that's wrong, and so that makes you frustrated. And that's what the exercise is designed to do. It's still clear in your head, but it's not clear in someone else's head. So it's just all.
And yes, yes, no, yes.
Yeah. Good. What else? Other thoughts? Yes.
We're like, just go here, just go here, here, just go here, just go here, here, here. And as we went around, she said yes once.
Okay. Yeah. And I find, does anyone desperately want to say sort of or maybe rather than yes or no?
A lot, yeah.
I find you're like. What you do is you just say yes or no slowly.
The runner can try to want to say more than yes or no. That's what I was
Okay, good. Any final thoughts? Final comments? All right, great. This next exercise is reading social cues. It's called status card game. I will give you all a card from a deck of cards, and you will not look at the card, but you will instead take the card and put it on your head like this. Now, everyone else can see it. You cannot. Ace is high. Now, you will walk around the room talking to your fellow business school students, and you will treat each person based on their status.
2 is the lowest.
2 is the lowest. Ace is the highest. 9 is
Space Club, Hearts don't matter, right? Like,
what's that?
the 6 cards, queen.
Yeah, suits do not matter. All right, you will mingle for 3, 4, 5 minutes, treating people according to their appropriate status. And then I will ask you to line up according to your status and see if you're able to read the cues correctly. Any questions? Okay. Let's make our mingling area kind of this area here. All right.
Wait, can I have another one?
You saw
I
it?
just,
Okay.
I don't know what's happening.
Okay. Irresistible just to look.
card, right?
No, actually, the one, if we have time to maybe it's
You don't know what you want.
Okay, try some.
I want to talk to you, but those two I can't talk to. Those two I can't talk to.
Please give me food. Please give me food. I'm homeless.
I don't want to talk to you. You like I want to talk to you. You guys are, you guys are great. You guys are together.
down here. I don't want to
We're going to start. Here's the highest status right here. And lowest status right
But you can get out of my way.
You know what? I think you were on the same boat now.
You stay right here.
Down.
Everybody, I guess, should move down.
I think I'm down. I think I'm down this time.
Alright, we just need to fit this group of, keep going, right? This group of unself-aware people in somewhere.
I don't know.
Got a bunch of people lingering in the building.
Oh, wait, do you know him?
You should Okay, so then you go there. You have to go to Walmart.
Okay, we're in line. Go ahead and take a look at your card, see if you see what Okay. So you're interested in a couple key takeaways. The first is anyone in the wrong place? Raise your hand if you're in the wrong order, wrong place. Yeah, you should have been.
I started walking down here and see, I was right. Who told me? You told me.
You were over there.
No, I was right here. I was
So
right
Halima,
here. Yeah.
how was it? How was it that you misjudged your stats?
No, I knew I was low class. I was over. No, I knew I was low class. No one was speaking to me. I was over here, and then he said that he thought I was higher than him. So I just moved down and said, oh well.
Okay. All right. It gets a little confusing when people look at the actual, when you're lined up and people just look at the actual number and then they tell you where you need to be, where you need to be stationed. It's really hard to control for that. But the real value is in how you felt when people were interacting with you. And if you were able to understand their cues, did they like you, did they not like you? Was there any discrepancy there? Like you weren't quite sure how people were feeling, and then when you got in line, somebody told you, hey, you're in the wrong area.
I felt like it was easy if you were really high or you were really low.
Yeah.
Anywhere in between, like it was very hard to differentiate how people should.
If you're 6'7", you don't know how to.
Yeah, like 6 to 10.
Pretty much like, yeah,
6 to 10,
6
yeah.
to 10.
6 to 10.
Yeah.
I tried to, say sometimes someone got a 7, and I said, get out of my way. And she told me that she's serious.
You're not all that.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I find that too. The gray area is in between, but a lot like real life, really.
Yeah.
You know if someone really dislikes you, you know if someone really likes you, but in between, how do I read those nuances? How do I read those cues? Any other thoughts?
Well, the lows and highs are very easy to pick out.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess you can't judge it based on your one interaction with it.
Good point. Good point. Gray area in life. You need more points of data. Okay, we're going to do this again with a slight variation. This time you're actually going to look at your card, and then you're going to put it in your pocket and not let anyone else see what it is. Yes, you're going to get a new card. You will look at your...
You will be him.
You will look at
Sorry, I thought you were taking it.
Okay, so look at your card and don't show it to anyone else.
Different writing. Is it in the same bowl?
Wait, okay. What's that?
Okay, so walk around, act your status. Actor status. Situate yourself according to status. High status over here, low status over here.
I don't know.
Average or mid?
Janitor, worker. I'm average. I'm a little above average. So what's average? You calculate.
Low over here.
Sometimes in classes it's sit on the start from here.
Alright, make some room in the middle so the last few can work their way in. Alright, make a little room and let Rashish in there.
Can you move down a little bit?
Yeah, move down a little bit, Jim.
Should foot move down?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, okay, so we're all in single file line. Go ahead and take out your card and see where we are. And show everyone. Okay, good, good. You were like, you're up there, my friend. You're up there. Okay, a little misjudgment there. Oh,
He said he was very close to me. I
lower,
was like, I'm very close.
less self-confidence. Alright, good, 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 good. So, what do we have here? Just a little misjudgment in the middle here. Really the only quote-unquote mistake. So how did this little misalignment in the middle happen? We've got a, what are you? You're a 10, a 6, an 8. Alright, how did this happen?
Well, for me, I just cut in. I should have been there, but I don't know, I guess something about line up the number as long as I was in the middle.
Okay.
I didn't know what she had. I'm like, I know I'm in the middle, I'm in the middle. And it was switchy, so I just said, I'll just sit here.
Okay, fair enough. So, based on the way your classmates acted, did it surprise you the way someone lined up? Because you know your number, and you know, all right, I've got a 10, I'm going to be about right here. I've got a jack, I'm going to be about here. But did anyone surprise you? Like they were acting really confident, and then they lined up really in a low spot? Yes.
Well, so I'm kind of out of place a little bit, and I was talking to a couple of girls over there, and they're like, oh, we're really cool. I was like, well, Jack isn't like really, really cool. Trying to keep some distance between me and them.
That's a
They're
great
on the same level.
That's a great point. So it's subjective. You're the only one who knows your card. decide how you project it, and you interpret it how someone else is interpreting theirs. Over.
Actually, I thought that Halima was higher than Dan because she described her life. I live in Manhattan, like I go out a lot. I every day spend in museums, and I thought she's actually somewhere in, you know.
Okay.
She was so confident about herself.
Ah, so she seemed confident. Were you projecting confidence, Helena?
Well, I have to say what was interesting to me is when I looked at my card before I was a 6. So when I looked at my card,
You're like, all right.
but I
I used to live in Queens, now I live in Manhattan. I'm not on Fifth Avenue yet, but
I still, it was interesting that, the line thing happened because I still felt like a 6 on the lower end. And I thought that we was just going to be acting and we would guess later. But then there were the cues and people would say I was at Walmart. When I said I'm in the city, I'm going to art and culture. It was just me like playing conversation, like, but I don't know. I feel like I'm enough professor.
No. I mean, remember when we talked about social media, there was this phenomenon we discussed that sometimes you think your internal actions convey more than they do. So you may have been walking around thinking, oh, I'm low class, whatever. I'm communicating that effectively, but no one else saw it, and they wanted to try to put you at a higher level, or vice versa. Did anyone have that experience? That they thought they were communicating what class they were very clearly, but no one else seemed to agree? Yeah? Fair enough. Any other thoughts on this? All right. Good. Yeah, I like the way that you think about your class and you think about how everyone else is interpreting you. And I like that we do it both those ways because it's just in your head. There's less opportunity for cheating and more opportunity to just think about how people are interpreting you this way. Okay, so go ahead and throw your cards right here and have a seat as we move into the next exercise. Okay. So, these next couple of exercises are called See It My Way exercises. I'm going to pose some questions. I'm going to ask you to come up with an answer to these questions. And then I'm going to pair you up or group you up depending on your answer. And your goal is to try to convince the other person who has a different answer than you to see it your way. And of course, you're going to think about how can you best communicate this in a way that will actually convince them rather than sending them into an emotional hijack. So the first question, I'm going to throw this up and I'm going to ask you to come up with your own answer. So do it silently in your head. This is a graph of hours of television viewed weekly by Americans. On the horizontal axis, we have the number of hours each person views TV. On the vertical axis, we have the percentage of Americans who responded that that's how many hours of TV I watch per week. So let's assume this was a survey that was done statistically validly, with statistical validity. It was a good, solid survey, and it's accurate. So we see that 10% of Americans said I view 0 hours of TV per week. 20% of Americans said I view 1 hour per week. 50% of Americans said I view 2 hours per week. 20% of Americans said I view 3 hours per week. Let's just say no one said they view more than 3 hours per week. So every single person, and larger, in a larger picture, every single American views this many hours of TV per week. Question for you to decide. Based on the data in this chart, how much TV does the average American watch per week? So go ahead and make your decision on your answer to that question. I'll give you a minute or two to just decide what you think is the correct, best answer. Okay, anyone need a little more time? Does everyone have their answer? Okay, everyone has an answer in their head? Okay, so we're going to team up based on your answers. What are some of the answers? Raise your hand if you have an answer. Olga? What's that? 1 hour and a half. Okay, so 1 hour and a half. Come stand here with Olga. If anyone has that answer, what else we got? 1.8. Come stand here with our pit. We have 1.8. So we got 1.5. Anything else? What else we have? 2. Stand here. All right. So Jay's over here with 2. Stand here. What else? You have 2. But any other answers? 2.5. Stand a little further over with Daniel. Okay. So you're 1.5, 1.8, 2, 1.5.
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right. So we've got 2.5, 2, 1.8, and 1.5. All right. So we'll base this on the numbers you have right now. So your goal is to expand your group as much as possible. So you have 2 people in 2. If you can convince maybe 3 people to come over for you, and you have a total of 5, you've increased your group by 2. Daniel obviously can convince the entire class that the right answer is 2.5. And same thing with 1.5. Okay. Yeah. Good strategy. So bring it in and think about how you're going to try to convince everyone else your answer.
Let's convince them. So you guys got 2? 1.5? So say for example, 20% got 3 hours, right? 20% of them did watch 3 hours, correct? So say in a survey of 10 people, this was a data survey of 10 people, that means 20% of 10 people is 2 people. So 2 people watch 3 hours, right? 2 times 3 is 6 hours total, right? All right, 50% watch 2 hours. So 50% of 10 people is 5 hours. So then you multiply by 2, and that ends up being 10. So 10 plus 6, now we have 16 so then, right? Now, I believe 20% is out of 10 people, but we have total hours watched 16, right? Total hours watched 16, right? So now, the remaining 20% of the people watch 1 hour, right? So then you add 2 more hours, because 2 people watch 1 hour, right? So 16 plus 2 is 18, the remaining 10% got 0 hours, right? So you have 18 total hours, and you have 10 people in the survey, so 18 divided by 10 is 1.4 per person, so that's the average. You got that, I can see the I figured you would understand.
If you just look at the 20% watch 3, 20% watch 1. That averages to 2, and then 10% at 0. It has to be less than 2. Around 1.8.
We like whole numbers. We like fractions. Join us.
Right. It's got to be a little bit less than 2. 0.5 is just.
I'm not going to convert.
Because we're cool. It's the cool.
You guys join us.
It's fun. Join us. We're going about this the wrong way, guys. You don't need to explain it.
Is everybody
It was
You're un-American if you don't want to see now.
Alright, go ahead and gravitate back towards your group. Let's see where we are at this point. Alright, go ahead and let's see where we're at this point. Alright, we've got 1.8s over here. Let me see who's there. 2.0s are confused. Confused people over there. So confused. Alright.
That's what I gotta do.
Go ahead and
You said I'm a
Okay. So there is technically a correct answer to this question. The definition of average will give us the correct answer of 1.8. So the learning, the value in this exercise is not so much that you got the right answer, but were you able to convince someone else to see it your way? What strategies did you use that were successful? What strategies did you use that were not successful?
Showing the graph.
Okay.
I think most people were convinced by this calculation of averages.
Yeah, that was weird for a minute. Most people just got it right to start out with.
But unfortunately, there are a couple or a few people that have their own reasons.
Okay, well, so what strategies did you use that helped? Because we had the 1.5s all join the 1.8s, and the 2.5 group, I think, it was just Daniel, the 2.5, right? And he joined the 1.8, right? So you were able to convince some of the group, or some of the rest of the class to see it your way. Most, yes. But how were you able to do that successfully? Priya?
Well, I was part of the 1.8 group and I observed one of my members bully some of the 1.5 people regarding us, which sort of surprised me. I feel like if you're just explaining the math, you just show the rationale and done it diplomatically.
Okay.
That surprised me.
Okay, so it's surprising that the bullying worked. I'm surprised too. I've never quite seen such a change when I've done this exercise. First of all, I've never seen so many people get it right off the bat. And like I said, I was a little worried. I didn't know how this was going to work out. There's such a huge chunk that had it right. But we still, even though there's a huge chunk that had it right, we still saw some not so great examples of trying to communicate it. And had an effect of making people stubborn, making people say, no, I'm not going to see it your way, even though rationally you're correct. Okay.
I use the graph. So if you say 20% watch TV for 3 hours and then 20% watch TV for 1 hour, that averages 2. But then there's 10% that don't watch TV at all. So it has to be less than 2, definitely. And then if it's only 10%, it should be around 1.8, 1.9.
Sure, okay, so showing the graph, showing the intuition, Jyoti, something?
Yeah, same thing. Not going to the math, just coming to the graph, and it was very clear from the graph that it has to be less than 2, and then it's very clear that around 10% of the respondents that are offering 10%.
Okay, did you say it just like that? Did you say it's very clear from the graph? All right, So, Jay, how did it feel when everyone was trying to gang up on you?
Oh, no, I think it was awesome. I loved it. Because I had 1.8. I knew it was 1.8.
You're just trying to be difficult?
We want to be difficult.
Okay. All right, well, good. Good. Was there anything that would have convinced you, or you just thought it was funny to mock the 1.8?
No, I wanted to see what a good argument was. I was waiting for someone to do the math for me, but like, they're like, if you do the math, and they tried saying it, but no one actually was like, here, let me show you. Right. Like, and then I was waiting for that. Someone like, here's the math, write it out. This is what you get. I would have been like, okay, I'll join you. But like, no one did that. No, I actually, I had the answer.
He said he was feeling valuable and he was enjoying it.
Okay, so that's an interesting takeaway.
He said he didn't do math after 6 o'clock.
Oh, maybe some people just enjoy the attention, enjoy the conflict. Yeah, it makes them feel valuable. Right? If you have to convince me, if I can just disagree, I can get my voice here, heard, and no one ever listens to me in this office. So it's time for me to be heard right now. Good, good. Amol, I heard you make an interesting argument. You said something to the effect of, when it's a supply chain question, we'll ask you.
Yeah, exactly.
When it's a math question, you should just listen to me.
No, if it's a marketing question, I'll listen to him because he's smart.
Okay, okay, okay. So how did that work? How did that argument work?
Just like all the other ones.
Apparently not well. Okay. Good, good. Yeah, I've seen some interesting things. I've actually seen only in a smaller group. I had a class of about 8 people, and I saw one person had the right answer, and she convinced one person to come stand with her temporarily. And then she lost that one person, so it was just 7 people who said the answer is 2, and one person said 1.8, and they tried to convince her, and they almost convinced her to join them. But she's like, oh, I have to stay with 1.8. The other thing that I see a lot is just nobody changes. And I think you had an advantage of 2 things. One, you had an advantage of a large group of 1.8, so everybody just kind of let me go, oh yeah, maybe I should go that way. And you also used some good skills, according to Jay, some not the best skills for every case, but you used some good skills to convince some people to join you. Interesting how the bullying effect worked with the 1.5ers. Why did the bullying effect work on the 1.5ers?
Well, I have to say, so I didn't want to do the math. I refused. I didn't do it. So I was like going to where everyone else was, and then I saw that there were only 2 of them, and I was like, all right, because I was like, I don't do it. And then Emil came to me, and although your math was right, your tone was very bullying. And so rather than like listening to you, my eyes were dead. That's what I felt. And I was like, all Priya did was like, here's the equation. I was like, all right, there it is.
I didn't write it down.
Ah, so that's an interesting sort
all
of...
I needed was the data.
So maybe there's a little good cop, bad cop, like I'll agree with her, but I won't agree with him, just as long as I can disagree with him.
No, it wasn't about disagreeing. It was just like, you were talking and I wasn't, rotating. I was like, oh.
Right.
I was like, I didn't want to do the math in the first place.
It would have been better to write it down.
Okay, good, good. Any other thoughts on how we did or did not communicate effectively?
I think this exercise really reflects on the title, but see it my way. So, for example, Jay, if you don't do it your way, you're not gonna,
Yes, yes. I'm trying to stir up controversy with this.
It's not.
Right, yes.
Right, exactly.
That is the point of this, is to stir up controversy. Okay, great. Let's move on to one more see it my way exercise.